Anyone remember this line in Spider-Man 2?
What are we gonna call this guy?
Dr. Octopus.
That's crap.
Science Squid?
Crap.
Doctor Strange.
That's pretty good. But it's taken.
Who would have thought almost 20 years later Sam Raimi would make a Doctor Strange movie? Hey movie buffs, I'm Jack Benner and welcome to my review of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is the sequel to 2016's Doctor Strange, as well as the 28th film in the MCU currently. This time the sequel is directed by Sam Raimi, starring Benedict Cumberbatch, Elizabeth Olsen, Chiwetel Ejiofor, and many others. Set after WandaVision and Spider-Man No Way Home, Doctor Strange, as always played by Benedict Cumberbatch, casted a forbidden spell that opens up a portal to the multiverse with emerging threats. And I would just like to get this out of the way, this review is 100% spoiler-free. There will be absolutely no spoilers in this review. If anyone who hasn't seen a movie yet is worried I'm going to spoil anything, please don't worry, you are safe here. Now my thoughts on the first Doctor Strange that came out in 2016. I thought it was a solid MCU origin story that was an entertaining introduction to the character with a great cast and incredible visual effects. Although some parts of his training did feel rushed and I do wish this movie had a more compelling villain, I still enjoyed that movie overall and I would give it 4 stars out of 5, a B+. And after that movie I was looking forward to seeing what they could do with this sequel and excited to see more of this character. And was excited when I heard this movie was announced at Comic-Con 2019, but was sad when Scott Derrickson, who directed the first movie, left due to creative differences. And who did they get to replace him? Sam Raimi. You may know Sam Raimi from directing the Spider-Man trilogy, Oz the Great and Powerful, and his horror background in the Evil Dead trilogy and Drag Me to Hell. And with the title, Multiverse of Madness, and Sam Raimi coming in to direct, I was expecting craziness from this movie. And I was excited that this was a continuation after Spider-Man No Way Home and WandaVision. And I would like to give my thoughts on WandaVision. For the first half of that series, I was loving it. It was very creative and intriguing. Elizabeth Olsen absolutely killed it in that series. But the final episode, however, was a bit underwhelming. Some things about that final episode didn't feel properly executed in my opinion. So for the series as a whole, I would give it a 4 out of 5. Out of the MCU shows that I have seen, it would probably be my 4th favorite. My 3rd would be Hawkeye, 2nd Loki, and my number 1, topping it recently, Moon Knight. That was awesome. And this was in my top 5 most anticipated movies of the year, as well as my most anticipated MCU film this year, as well as the summer. I saw Multiverse of Madness on Friday, super excited to see it. And now that I've seen it, and my review is here, what are my thoughts on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? While I don't think it's a top tier MCU film in my opinion, what I could say this, I had a blast with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and I found it as entertaining as its predecessor. Let's start with the pros. First, the cast are on top of their game here. Benedict Cumberbatch proves once again that he is pitch perfect casting as Doctor Strange. And at this point, I can't imagine anyone else playing Doctor Strange besides Benedict Cumberbatch. He just nails everything about the character. What I appreciate about Strange this time is while he still maintains his charisma and snark, he does have a vulnerable side to him in this movie. There was a lot more to explore with his character, develop him a bit more, and give him a satisfying arc. And plus we get to see how much he's been affected by previous events in MCU movies. But the one who steals the show is Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch. I feel like her subsequent appearances after Age of Ultron, Wanda is becoming one of the more interesting characters in the MCU. And I don't know if the MCU film's not really going to count WandaVision, that was a TV series. This would be so far my favorite performance Elizabeth Olsen has given as Wanda. Olsen brought a great combination of fierce presence and intimidation with a compelling emotional journey of her character post-WandaVision with an understandable motivation. And every scene Elizabeth Olsen is in, she killed it in this movie. And the rest of the performances are good. I still like Benedict Wong as Wong, Chiwetel Ejiofor is still good as Mordo, and Rachel McAdams returning as Christine from the first movie is given more to do this time, which is nice. And I unfortunately don't remember the actress's name who played America Chavez in this movie, a new character here. But I really liked this character. I liked her back and forth with Doctor Strange, thought she had some cool powers, and a likable presence. Now, Sam Raimi directing this movie was definitely an exciting and intriguing choice, since he had a background in horror and blockbuster filmmaking. Plus, he hasn't directed a movie in 2013 since Oz the Great and Powerful came out, his Wizard of Oz prequel with James Franco, which I actually enjoyed. And watching this movie, I definitely miss Sam Raimi behind the camera. I'm glad that Marvel not only gave him this opportunity, but also gave him creative control as well. They said they wanted to make this an MCU film with horror elements, and they definitely weren't kidding. From the zooms, camera movements, scene transitions, color palette, jump scares, angles, the intensity and brutality of the action. This does have a good balance of an MCU movie, but having Sam Raimi's style as well. But he doesn't forget when to focus on characters when necessary while returning to his horror style. And also props to Danny Elfman's score. There are definitely some great tracks here and there. This sequel not only had exciting action scenes, but also amazing visuals that are on par with its predecessor in my opinion. There's so many dazzling and jaw-dropping visuals in this movie. And with the great creature designs from Sam Raimi, I have a feeling this will most likely get an Oscar nomination for visual effects next year, although what I'm predicting to win next year is Avatar 2. Not only was there an enjoyable action scene at the beginning with this one-eyed creature, but there's also one action scene in the third act of this movie that I saw was very creative, inventive, and visually awesome. Unfortunately, I do have some flaws with this movie. I will get to those right now. One flaw I have with this movie is the beginning. It does feel rushed, moving at a fast pace like go, go, go. I think it needed a little more breathing time, just a slightly longer runtime to develop certain things. I also felt like the ending was rushed too. I didn't feel like it was the proper conclusion I was hoping for. And lastly, I wanted more from certain characters. I do wish Wong had more screen time since I did really like him. And the second character, in particular, Mordo. Chiwetel Ejiofor still does a good job, but where they left off his character in the first movie by going rogue, I thought that was potentially interesting and was looking forward to seeing more of him in this movie. While I didn't mind what they did with him here, I didn't feel like it was as interesting as where they left off his character in the last movie. In conclusion, while I don't think it's a top tier MCU film, I don't think it'll reach my top 15 favorite MCU films, I found Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness to be a wild, insane, and entertaining MCU sequel. It's great cast, amazing visuals, fun horror elements, and a good character-driven sequel. I do recommend watching the first movie, WandaVision, and Spider-Man No Way Home prior to watching this. And also, What If is the only MCU Disney Plus series that I have not seen, so that's definitely on my to-do list. And it is a Marvel movie. You know what to do. There are 2 end credit scenes in this movie. One mid-credit scene I thought was interesting. Curious to see what they're going to do with that. And second was a gag that was earlier in the film, so you don't necessarily have to stay for that one. And if they're planning on doing a third film, I'm curious to see what they're going to do with it. I will definitely be excited if Sam Raimi is going to direct it. And if that third movie is confirmed, I'm excited for it. And now to grade it, I'm going to give Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness 4 stars out of 5. A B+, same grade I gave the first movie. I'm looking forward to watching this movie again to see if I'll either like it more or less or about the same. And where this movie would currently be in my MCU ranking, I think it would be at number 17 on par with its predecessor. But I think I enjoyed this new one slightly more than the first movie. And I mentioned Avatar 2 earlier, and I would like to give my thoughts on the teaser trailer that I saw before this movie. Admittedly, I was skeptical about Avatar 2, especially how long it's been since the predecessor, and I was curious to see if this sequel would justify its existence. But after watching the trailer, I gotta say, I am getting more excited for Avatar 2. The visuals just look absolutely gorgeous like in the first movie, and especially what they're doing with underwater just looks incredible. I am curious to see what the story is going to be this time, since I feel like the first Avatar didn't really have the greatest story in my opinion. But I'm excited to see the sequel this December, and hopefully it'll be worth the wait. So I'd like to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness? Did you agree? Disagree with my review? Let me know below. Or if you haven't seen it yet, what are your expectations for the film? I'm curious to hear. Did you enjoy hearing my thoughts on this movie? If yes, please hit that like button, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, as well as that notification bell for my next upload. It really means a lot. And until the next video, I'm Jack Benner, and look forward to another movie review.